Hello and welcome to the Supernatural Track here at Continual. I'm your host, Gail Z. Martin, and tonight we are talking about Roads Not Taken, Season 14. What are some of the plot threads and possibilities that presented themselves and weren't followed up on? Where could the story have gone in a different direction? What might have happened but didn't? We're going to explore all that, but first, let's let our wonderful panelists introduce themselves, starting with Elektra and her friend.
I'm Elektra Hammond. I'm a writer and an editor, and I've been watching Supernatural since that very first episode aired, right until the last one just made me cry. And poor Piper, she likes Supernatural, but she didn't come along until after it went off the air, so she just gets to watch reruns.
Lola?
My name's Lola Lariscy. I have been a fan of Supernatural since 2005. And only one of my current animals was alive back then, but she has a chip on her shoulder, so she doesn't like anything that's not food.
Carole?
I am Carole Stokes. I've been a fan of Supernatural since season 3. I started writing fanfic under the name Firesign 10 in 2012, and I'm one of the co-hosts of the podcast So Get This, the Lore of Supernatural Fanfiction.
All right. And I'm Gail Z. Martin and Morgan Bryce, and this is my dog, Dax. I fell in love with the show in season 11, binge watched 11 seasons in time to watch the start of season 12, and proudly claimed the title of Obsessed Fan ever since. Let me give him something to chew, and then we'll come back and start with Elektra on things that could have gone differently for season 14. All right.
All righty then. Well, let's start with the really obvious one. How about if Archangel Michael taking over Dean had just stayed with us the whole season? We'd gotten to see Dean dressed up in those spiffy clothes and that cool cap just for all 20 some seasons, 20 seasons, I think.
20 episodes,
20
yeah.
episodes, sorry. And you know, I mean, Michael, he had style. He really did. And he was kind of nice to watch. And he really played the Michael version of the character really nicely, even though he was a mean son of a bitch. And he took care of his clothes. I mean, you know, he wasn't going to do anything bloody without wearing an apron over what he was wearing. So it might have been nice to have him around for longer than we saw him. God only knows what character, you know, how many superpowered monsters we would have gotten if he'd been around longer. But, you know, we might have gotten to see a few more of his running around with people, and maybe his wardrobe maybe would have gotten to see him in, you know, some more tuxes.
Okay. Lola.
Okay, so I don't have as many as I usually have because I just had a rough day. But we're going to start with episode 1, Stranger in a Strange Land. And so we get to see Nick as Nick. He's not Lucifer anymore. He's just basically Mark Pellegrino, which is fine. But they kind of make the character a shit. I mean, you would think like after 20 years or whatever of being Lucifer's lackey, he would be like really mad at Lucifer and just like maybe want to reverse course and make up for some of the bad things that Lucifer did. But no, he's just kind of a shit and kind of useless. And it would have been nice if like he remembered more things about Lucifer so that he could really be like a, you know, like a poking Lucifer in the side and just, you know, be able to help the boys like know more about Lucifer and just really be part of the team. I would have liked that at least for a little bit until he got killed.
Okay. Carole.
I'm going to do the reverse of what Elektra said. and go with what if Michael had kept his end of the bargain and let Dean go when he said he was going to? There would have been a lot less, at least Angel shenanigans. And then especially, of course, later on where we have that surprise reappearance of him. What if he was just gone, from the get-go? And we would have been spared the aerial fight, which would have been something good to be spared from.
This is true. I'm going to go with game night because I thought that Mary's death was utterly pointless. It really proved that this is somebody who only ever had babies and had never raised teenagers, because anybody who raised teenage boys know that when they're in a snit, you do not follow them out of the house, nagging at them and carping at them and trying to push them into having a conversation. That doesn't work with human teenage boys, let alone a superpowered godling. So big surprise, he puffed her. Well, every teenage boy would do that in that same situation if they had the ability. So I just looked at that and thought, oh, honey, you've never mothered teenagers. That was just a rookie mistake. And I honestly wasn't sure why she was so mad at him anyhow, because he killed Lucifer. Hello, bad guy. That whole thing didn't make sense to me of why she was so aghast that the guy they've been trying to kill all season got killed. I don't know what she was expecting, but I'm not a big Mary fan. So I think that I was okay with Mary going away, but I thought that could have made a lot more sense, and then we wouldn't have had Dean mad at Jack for half of the season, and Jack wouldn't have been tortured by, his conscience, and that would have left room to expand in all kinds of other interesting ways. So happy Mary left. Could have been handled better. Back to you, Elektra.
All right. Here's one. What if Jack had delayed going to see Kelly Klein's parents until after Dean returned, and Dean went with them and gave them the talk, and then actually explained who Jack was, and they accepted him as their grandson, and he had some more family because he really liked them and enjoyed talking to them, and they actually really liked him until they found out that he wasn't really an intern, etc. And it would have given him that sense of belonging, and maybe would have made it easier for him to deal. And maybe he wouldn't have killed Mary, and they could have just, I don't know, sent her to France.
Okay.
There are other ways to get rid of her.
Random, but that's fine. She could have gone off to, explore Men of Letters bunker somewhere.
Explore the Men of Letters. She could have gone to London and interned with them.
There you go. Lola?
Okay. Episode 10, Nihilism, is one of my favorite episodes. It's just nice to see Jensen happy, being happy. And even though it's a loop and it's happening over and over again. So they're able to break through the loop. Cass and the gang come and they're like, dude, this is on repeat. They're like, he was like, what? And then, all of a sudden he realized, oh, that's right. Pamela really was blind and she was dead, and it fell. But I was thinking, would it have fallen so easily if his loop was time with his dad? Like they're on a hunting trip, or they're just, if it ever happened, celebrating Christmas or a birthday, just a really nice time with his dad. He wouldn't want to leave that. So I'm wondering, would it have been easy for him to snap out of it if it'd been his dad?
That's a good point. Or even him chilling out with Sam and having a really wonderful movie marathon, like something that a Jin would have dreamed up, where he, they were safe, they were together, they were having a good time, past the popcorn and the beer, and time could have moved differently. Yeah. But we did get Rocky's Bar, and we did get the little cameos with Family Business Brewing in the background, as well as that monkey figure that shows up everywhere. Carole?
We had that great moment in the bar where Sam lays down the law to a room full of demons and says that anybody who wants to try to be the king of hell has to go through him. It was just this spectacular moment, pure Banff Sam, gotta love it. So what if he had actually just gone ahead and declared himself king of hell, and thereby actually fulfilled his destiny as the boy king? He might be the man king now because he's really not a boy anymore, but the Sam king of hell. And he would have gotten control of the demons, and he would have wrested hell into a kinder, gentler hell. Like people could still be punished for being bad, but like they wouldn't necessarily get flayed over open flames or something, or have to consume their own intestines or something. So we could have
They could just be on hold forever with their health insurance company.
right. You hark back to Crowley's where he had that long line of, or in Beetlejuice when the guys they're in the waiting room for eternity. And Sam would have had, he could have tapped back into all of his powers, and maybe we then could have had more of a showdown between the rest of the season. We see Sam growing in his powers, and like then Rowena maybe could have come and helped him develop, and he still would have been a hunter and working with Dean and everything, but he could have had this whole other side going on. And that the final showdown could have been him versus Chuck or something. That would have been, there's a lot of really interesting dynamics there. It could have been very exciting. Certainly would have been hot. Who doesn't love a Banff Sam, or Sam who's walking that line, and he's probably slips a foot into the evil side every now and then, but he's got to work back to the good side. Yeah, that's my
Sam F. and Winchester. Well, yeah, slips a foot into the evil side when it's Dean who's in peril. Because we all know Sam will do everything.
Nobody touches his Dean.
That's right. I'm gonna go with Jack in the Box because I thought the whole Malik box thing was kind of dumb. And of course there's Dean who wants to be extremely self-sacrificial and yes, put me in a box and sink me in the bottom of the ocean. Like that's gonna hold an archangel for eternity. Saltwater, hello folks. Or maybe, now that we've seen that ill-fated submersible, how far down would you have gotten with that before it just imploded and, the archangel gets out, whether or not, Dean's vaporized, but that's not going to hurt an archangel. So I thought that as a containment device, stored away maybe in the dungeons of some hidden, oh, now he's decided to squeak something. Hidden away in the dungeons beneath some forgotten Men of Letters bunker. That could have worked, but I didn't like the whole idea anyhow, because it was just Dean not thinking something through. And I didn't blame Sam at all for wanting to make sure that didn't happen to his brother. Or Sam could have played the card of, well, there's room for both of us in the box. You go, I go, because I'm not staying without you. And so if we're going to do this, we're going to die together. We'll just make sure that the box is big enough for everybody. And then we'll all go down to the bottom of the ocean together. It was not a well thought out plot device.
I have two thoughts about this. One is, if he was going to be in this box, why didn't they just like whip up one of those pocket universe things like Death was talking about? It's not like they don't know all these celestial heavyweights. They could have just said, oh, let's just stick him in a pocket universe and he can, and the other is, you're talking about Sam and Dean both being in the Malik box, forced proximity.
Fan fiction just waiting to be written. Yeah. Back to you, Elektra.
Lebanon. That's always been one of my favorite episodes. What if John had actually remembered the events of Lebanon and not just thought it was a cool dream? And it actually improved his A+ parenting skills, and he wasn't such a jerk to the boys after that. And maybe, just maybe, things went a little smoother for them because of it. Maybe that would have improved things for them later.
Yeah. Yeah. Lola?
Okay, since I don't have that many, I'm gonna double up. So I'm gonna go back to nihilism, the one with the bar. So they when they have Michael, they're at Hitomi Plaza, and that's a really really tall skyscraper. And my little ears went buzzing. I'm like, Hitomi Plaza, Nakatomi Plaza, Die Hard. I'm like, that was a reference. It must have been. So then I started thinking, what if Michael looked more like now I've lost his name. Oh gosh, I can't remember his name. Alan, huh?
Bruce Williams?
No, I've lost his name. I can see him. Oh, from Harry Potter, Sirius Snape. Anyways, what if he?
Rickman.
Yes,
Alan
Alan
Rickman.
Rickman. Thank you. I was like, any other day of any other year, I could name him. So, what if Michael looked more like Alan Rickman in that movie? And of course, spoiler, the way he dies is he's pushed off the building and you see him like going down, like, ah. So, we needed to have a scene with Michael going down like this. It probably wouldn't have killed him, but it would have been fun.
Yeah, I mean, now the difference is the Archangel can fly and Alan Rickman couldn't. So that probably wouldn't have worked quite as well, but I agree.
Alan
It was a
Rickman
great
could
thought.
fly. It wasn't the fall that killed him. It was the sudden stop at the bottom.
This is true.
Right.
This
And
is
what if
true.
he was surprised? He might have still had the angel blocks on him. So he might have been like trying to flap, like, I can't flap. And then he just went, shmoo. I mean, he would have come back, but yeah, it would have been fun to watch. I'm just saying.
Okay. Carol?
On the topic of Rocky's Bar, I absolutely loved it. All the references they built into that. It was wonderful to see Pamela. It just was this beautiful little jewel in the dross that was so much of this season. So what if somehow they made that real? Like somehow it really came into existence. Like maybe it started off as this place like inside Dean's head, but maybe like as a reward, they got to get it afterward. Like after everything was done, they're like, here's the keys. And and they actually could have had that. They could have even they could have kept the bunker if they wanted, but here they could have this nice bar and Dean would be happy as a little clam running that place. And, Sam would always be down at the end of the bar with his laptop and everybody could come and go, almost roadhousey. People could come and go. And, it could have been something really, really fun.
Instead of the Roadhouse in the final heaven, season 15, they could have been at Rockies.
It could have been at Rockies.
That would have been cool. That would have been a throwback. That would have been awesome.
Dax has gotten his loudest squeaky toy for running because he's not the center of attention. So that's why I keep muting myself, because it gets extremely loud. My favorite episode, I think, this season was Mint Condition. And, I loved seeing Dean geek out over the series of horror movies with the guy who worked in the comics shop. I also loved that the guy that helped Dean in the hospital and also the owner knew that the guy who possessed the creature had been stealing, that he had problems, that there were issues. And because he was their friend, they were trying to help him through it. They didn't just fire him. They didn't just send him away. They tried to help. So it was great to see just that childlike love of a TV show shared with the guy from the comic store. But I guess, what if Sam had found them in the hospital and helped take down the serial killer mannequin. Of course, Sam would have been thrown across the room and knocked out, and then the serial killer would have come after him. But it would have been fun to see Sam and Dean take on the big bad in that, although Dean certainly held his own. And I think the Sam making a bomb out of a Scooby-Doo lunchbox with common household materials is just classic Sam. And yes, he did get along great with the one who ran the comic shop, and they did kind of seem like bookends there. But yeah, that's about the only change I'd make to what I think is otherwise a really terrific Monster of the Week episode. Back to you, Elektra.
Don't go in the woods. This is a really outstanding Monster of the Week episode. And it's one of those, hey, it's part of our Native American culture that we get this monster. Somebody, goes crazy and they're starving and blah, blah, blah. The sheriff knew what the monster was the whole time. Why the hell wasn't he dealing with it better? I mean, he put his own kid's life at risk because the kid is hearing monster noises in the wood and his girlfriend's at risk and they're parking. And dad is just, like, what are you doing here parking? And he doesn't say, hey, why don't you go park and, if you're going to do this, why don't you go downtown and the movie theater's closed or the department store's closed. Why don't you guys go park at the mall? He's like, he's daring them to stay there or to just find another spot. It just, better writing. Please, better writing.
Okay, Lola.
Just a little cooperation, please.
Lola?
Okay. Episode 18, Absence. So I'm going to get a little meta. Cass goes back to the famous playground with the gate to heaven. They use that playground all the time. So I was thinking, what if like in real life, there's actually a kid playing there? And he was like, F you, I'm not moving. This is my playground. And no matter how hard the production team tried, nobody to get him to move. So they ended up having to film the scene with him in it. But then they do like a look who's talking thing. And they have the lips move so that he's the angel instead of Erica Sarah Dura, whatever her name is. I forgot her name was. So you have this little kid and he's going, hey, jackass. Naomi's not there. She's probably planning an episode to direct because Amanda Tapping directs a lot of the episodes. So that would have been cute.
Okay. Carole.
What if, so Nick is finally just Nick. He doesn't have Lucifer in him. And through the course of the season, he gets really caught up in who did kill his family. That's understandable. But then he starts killing people. Mm-hmm. And that's less understandable. And he's like, almost like wants Lucifer back in, or does he want Lucifer? I mean, he's empty and feeling pointless, and we think he's pointless anyway. And at this point, mm-hmm. What if he had just died? Lucifer left him, and he's like, I have no reason to, my family's dead. What else do I have? And maybe he just, either disappears or whatever. There's all kinds of ways that could have ended. And he's just gone. He's just gone. And we're spared so many things, including, again, the aerial fight. Mm-hmm. The end of the season. And, I really like what Mark Pellegrino did, with the character as Lucifer. And I liked him as Nick. But I felt like at this point, the writers were just like, now what do we do with him? And he just was like kind of flopping all over the place. We had never in his pre-Lucifer days had any hint that he was like feeling so homicidal and stuff. Mm-hmm. And certainly, I'm sure, having Lucifer in his head all those years had warped his mind and everything, but he just seemed like he got spun on the wheel of plots the wheel of
He's
plot
just
lines.
flopping around.
And
He
that
just
was
boring.
the one that came up. And so what if all of us had been spared and he had been spared the indignity of his character kind of going down the tubes and had just kind of gone off, and he could have found a good woman somewhere and gone off. I mean, I'm not even saying he has to
Gone
die,
traveling.
but what if they had just phased him out a little sooner?
Mhm. Well,
That would
over,
have saved a
Sent
lot.
him to Tahiti.
yeah. And then Jesse could have taken care of it.
Ah, they could have sent him on a quest for Jesse.
Or they just could have said, Jesse, keep him out of trouble. You're all
Maybe,
powerful.
maybe Jesse is like in Australia with running like some kind of haven for people that have been through the mill demonically, like a rehab, like demon rehab. And they get to just, go on the beach and fish and sip tall umbrella drinks in the sun and everything and recover from the traumas that were inflicted upon their psyches.
Mhm.
Mhm. Do like chakra stuff and meditating.
So I'm going to go with damaged goods and profit and loss. This is Dean in the middle of his self-destructive Malik box and dragging Sam kind of along for the literal ride as they're going to drive to the coast and drop Dean into the Mariana Trench. And Sam is going along with this because he figures keeping Dean in sight is better than Dean out of sight, but he's definitely not on board. And they do have a fantastic scene where Sam just snaps, and so they finally slug it out and then talk it out in true Winchester fashion, which is a phenomenal scene. But much as I love that scene, what if Dean had figured out that this was not going to work, that it was going to destroy Sam? And on his farewell tour, wouldn't it have been nice if Jody and Mary and Donna had been a little more intuitive about Dean's just dropping by 4 states over to say hello? There is something wrong here. Little bit of motherly intuition there to also say, whoa, 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 what's this plan of yours? Oh, hell no. So that Sam wasn't the only one who thought this was a bad idea. So I would have hate to have lost that lovely brother moment and fight and hug and emotions. But there was a lot of logic missing in that whole Malik box sub arc from the time they brought it up to, yeah, let's just stick Jack in it. He's God, but I'm sure this box will hold him, to, no, I'm just going to do my own little swan dive into the ocean. That Malik box arc was not one of their stronger ideas, especially for that kind of long-term containment. Just didn't make any sense. Elektra?
Oh yeah. The scar. There's a subplot on this one that just irks the shit out of me, and that is we are totally okay with girl lovers. Yes, we are. We are totally okay with lesbians. Yes, we are. We like Charlie, so yeah, we're totally okay with Kaya and Claire, except Kaya's missing. And also, for whatever reason, alternate Kaya just hates Claire, but we don't get to see them. And the weirdness of that is just so odd. We just talk about it because it happened in the past. And it's so bizarre that we didn't actually see it happen and they retconned it as we need to go get Kaya, who is apparently still alive, because after all, Claire was in love with her, but we didn't see that. That happened off screen in some minuscule amount of time that we didn't notice.
I think
And
part of that was the actress who played Claire had already gotten pulled into playing another part and she wasn't available.
Pretty Little Liars, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
It was just, yeah, very big strangeness there. I thought that whole thing was badly handled. And also the suddenness of I'm back, which happened at the end of the last episode, and they just show him with the giant tuning fork scar on his arm, and they're trying desperately to figure out where it came from. That scared Michael out of him.
Yeah, I love the giant.
Strange episode, like so many of them, or as Carole put it, they just spun the wheel of plots, or they threw darts at the wall of plots and just picked something.
I was thinking earlier today, there's also the image of ping pong balls, and each ping pong ball had like a character or an idea or something, and they put it in one of those bingo cages, and it went around and around and around like this, and then they picked one out.
Oh, it's like the lottery. We get
Mhm.
we get a character,
balls get
and then we
sucked
get
up
a
the
plot
tube.
line, and then we get a location. Oh,
That's
yeah,
how
that works great.
that's how the carriage tours in Charleston pick their route, so they aren't always going around the same blocks. It those ping pong ball machines. So yeah, your route is determined by chance.
So that's how they figured out like how long Michael and Dean were going to be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is he going to leave this episode? Nope. Is he going to leave this episode? Yep. Okay. Why? Tuning fork. That's an odd one. We'll have to figure out what that is. Gay subplot. Okay, we'll write one of those. Sure. Did they write this season for NaNoWriMo?
That is very possible. I'm gonna say we really could have done without Maggie. Maggie was kind of the face of the hunters that Mary had tutored in the alternative world. But if she was supposed to put, kind of be the individual we saw who humanized the faceless group of the people that they brought through the rift, she seemed to always get in the way. She didn't seem, coming back from when Sam got his throat torn out in the cave, she didn't seem to understand why Dean didn't want to chat on the walk. And everything she did just sort of messed things up. And
Clueless is the word you're looking for.
Utterly clueless. So she shouldn't have survived the bad place, the alternative world. She should have been long dead. And I had no problems with them humanizing the group by picking an individual, but an individual who was smarter and sharper and a better hunter.
Well, she died once, and Lucifer brought her back.
She should have been like half feral, having survived what she did. And because Clueless isn't going to survive under those conditions. So it bugged me that they wrote her the way she did, because it was an otherwise okay concept. So last round, Elektra.
Wait a second. Went from me to you to me
Did we
to
miss a
you
Lola
to
in there?
me. You're skipping everybody else.
Sorry. Okay, Lola, back to you.
I just have a silly half-ass one left. That's all I have left. So game night, Jack is out being just crazy and killing people and just being in his terrible twos. Why doesn't Jack just stay in his room? He's got Netflix. I'm sure they can make him grilled cheese sandwiches, get him some, I don't know, some toy trucks to play with since he's 2 years old. Just get him everything he wants. Just get him set up in his little room and he should be happy. I would be, and I'm 52 years old.
Okay, fair argument. Carole.
I'm tapped out.
Okay.
Elektra.
Yeah. When they call Garth and they say, Garth, will you be our spy? Because Michael is supercharging werewolves and we need a werewolf to go in there. Garth looks at them and says, guys, I've got a family. I have little kids. I can't do this. Betsy's brother, the idiot, he's good at this shit and he's too stupid to do anything. Let me talk to him and tell him that this opportunity has arisen, and he'll go in and he'll tell me stuff, and we'll send him in. He's just smart enough to do it and think that it's like a cool thing. And they send him in instead of Garth, and we don't have to worry that, Garth's kids are going to be without their dad. Because I was scared for Garth, I mean, he's such a great guy, and they went and sent him in as a spy to drink, Angel Grace and Archangel Grace and maybe end up dead. I was really miffed about that.
Well, mine was the scene in the caves with Cass and Gabriel, and they get ambushed by vampires, and they're holding Dean back while the vampires kill Sam, and Cass and Gabriel don't even struggle. I mean, they may not have their angel grace, but they could like throw rocks or put up a fight or do something within human
They
realm.
could yell loudly.
Yeah. And
Boogity boogity, we're archangels.
yeah,
Get here, we're gonna burn you with our angel stuff.
even if they could have just mustered a little bit of a glow to scare off the vampires, but it didn't look like they did anything to help or get free. And Sam's getting his neck ripped out. So I thought that, and the whole idea that Dean would not have gone down that tunnel after Sam right then, that he would have let Cass or anybody else deter him, it just isn't Dean. So you get you understand that when he gets everybody back to the camp, and then he tells Mary he's going to go back and find Sam's body. Yeah, he's not going to go back and find Sam's body. He's going to go back and die with Sam. But I just questioned that Gabriel and Cass didn't do anything, and that Dean didn't have to be like hauled out of there and maybe prevented from going in by a strategically timed cave in. Just I can't imagine him not going after Sam under those conditions.
Under any conditions.
For any conditions. Yes.
He
You met-
protects Sam. That's his mission. It's been
Yeah.
his mission since he was like 5.
Right. I mean, like, have you met him? That's what he does. All right, folks, we have come to the end of our time, and I think we've run out of episodes, but before we go, let's let everybody say where we can find you online. Elektra?
I'm Elektra Hammond. You can find me at untilmidnight.com. I'm pretty active on Mastodon, where I'm Elektra at Wandering Shop, and look for me with an upcoming short story in ZNB Presents Year 2.
Yay, Lola.
My name's Lola Lariscy. You can look for me online. You'll find me or a bunch of dead old ladies. And I may not be dead, but I'm confused because I thought my cat was alive in 2005 and she wasn't. She was born in 2010. I've lost my mind. I'm crazy.
Okay, Carole.
You can find me on Facebook, especially in the Continual group and in the Supernatural TFW and C group. All of my fan fiction is on AO3 under Firesign 10. And as Ellis Colton, I'm an MM romance writer. Both my books, Prescription for Love and The Silver Dragon, are available on Amazon and Smashwords. All my social media links under that name are at elliscolton.card.co. That's CARRD.co.
Okay. And I'm pretty easy to find at gailzmartin.com, morganbryce.com. All my social media is under one or both of those names. If you spell them right, you'll find me. I do run the Supernatural TFWNC group on Facebook. I'm a columnist for the Winchester Family Business blog, but most of the time you can find me here on Continual. So thank you all so much for another terrific conversation. And thanks to all of you for watching and listening. There will be more Supernatural coming up soon on Continual. So we'll see you online.